Hey everyone, welcome to Chuck's Guitar Geekery. Here I am with yet another Firefly guitar. I just can't stop myself from buying these. They're so cheap, why not? This one is the FFLG, I believe, and it is kind of the SG style. And it's kind of closer to more of a ESP Viper because the horns are a little more offset, but close enough. So I'll just go and give my rundown of it. I'll start head to toe. Headstock shape, you know, they can't do a Gibson shape. It's not ugly, it's not pretty, the headstock shape just is. I'm fine with it, doesn't bother me. Tuners, they feel pretty good actually. I feel no desire to actually change these. You know, I still have the strings that came on it with here, so I think once I get my typical strings on here, the tuning stability will be a little better. But they don't jump around, they feel sturdy, they feel secure. I can live with that. And actually, you know, talking about Gibson headstocks, I've kind of been chasing the dragon to replace an SG I sold a while ago that I broke the headstock off of and did my own half-hearted repair very sloppily because I didn't know what I was doing. So the headstock angle break on this is actually pretty shallow, so I don't think this will have the issue with headstock snapping off. And then we get to the truss rod. When I first got it, there wasn't enough relief in the neck, so I did have to do a truss rod adjustment, but in order to get some relief in there, loosening the truss rod, it came all the way loose, so I can't put any more relief on this neck. So I think if I go to lighter strings, you know, which I don't see myself doing, but if I were to try to put lighter strings on here, I don't think I would have enough relief. So it's here right now with these 10 gauge strings. So the nut, I did have to do some work to the nut. The E, A, and D strings, the slots weren't filed down low enough, so that resulted in none of these lower frets intonating. So I had to spend some time with the nut file, and I think it's there pretty much. Might need some more fine tuning, I'll do that at a later time. Moving on to the neck, they say it's mahogany neck and body, rosewood fretboard. Fretboard's a little dry, but you know what, so was my Gibson when I got it. Frets feel good, there's absolutely no sharp fret ends. There's no dead frets. You know, they could use a little time with some steel wool to polish them. If I ever change the strings, I'll do that then, and I'll condition the fretboard. But for out of the box, I don't really feel any need to file any frets down. They all feel and play pretty well. 22 frets. Getting down to the heel joint here, this is comfortable. You know, I have access all the way up to the 22nd fret. Let's see, the strap pegs are actually kind of a surprisingly nice feature. They have the really wide lip on the strap pegs, so I feel pretty secure with the strap on here. The guitar is pretty well balanced. I remember my Gibson SG was pretty neck heavy and would dive on me all the time, but this one isn't, so I like that. Moving on to the finish on the top here, kind of got that Les Paul burst look to it. It's a pretty nice subtle burst. I like the way it looks. Kind of a classic look to it. And yeah, I know it's a thin veneer on top here, whatever it is, to get this flame, but it actually does have some 3D movement in it. You know, it's not as deep as my Gibson, but it's got some good 3D movement, surprisingly. The bridge feels fine. I feel no need to replace it. There's no extraneous rattling, none of that. Feels pretty sturdy. I can dig that. I had to, you know, spend some time intonating it, especially once I messed with the nut and the truss rod and all that, but that's to be expected with any guitar in this price point. The pickups are microphonic. Firefly is kind of notorious for this at this point. I feel like everyone gets microphonic pickups, but they're not the worst microphonic pickups. Because when I first got this guitar yesterday, I cranked up some of these amps behind me, and yeah, it would feedback if I was facing the amp, but facing away from the amp, it really didn't. I may experiment with taking these pickup covers off and seeing what that does. As far as the sound, the bridge pickup I can live with. I don't feel a need to replace it. Honestly, the neck pickup leaves a little bit to be desired for me. A little muddy, a little too woolly. I still like my neck pickup to have some bite to it, and this just really doesn't. I am going to experiment with taking this pickup cover off, and maybe that'll help some of that too. Moving on to the pickup switch here. Feels sturdy, feels secure, feels heavy duty. I like it. The pots here. The volume pots are a little funky. Like, you'll see later on, I'll turn it all the way down, and you'll still hear some of the signal coming through. And it kind of goes from like that tiny little bit of signal, and then just whoosh, whole bunch of it on. So I don't really like the taper on these pots. I may try a 50s wiring mod and see if that maybe helps some of it, but probably not. And then the jack is actually, it holds onto this cable pretty well. Overall, grading this on a Firefly curve, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's still very comfortable to play, it's lightweight. Some fiddling with electronics, I think it'll be there, and still a little bit more fine tweaking on the intonation. It's not quite 100%, but just did it quick and dirty in my spare time. That's how I work around here. Anyways, going with the cheap guitar here, you know, I'm going through a cheap rig, so I have Perco Rat for my distortion pedal, then Orange Terror Stamp for the amp. Now the tricky part, if you want to get your own Firefly guitar, it's almost like a cult at this point. But there's several avenues. I got this through their eBay store called FJ Mari 5. And I think they sell returns, or it's just overstock they're trying to get rid of. So it was listed as pre-owned. The box looked unopened to me, so I don't know. But they accept best offers in that eBay store, and you can get a little bit of a bargain. Sometimes they have these on Amazon. Sometimes they have them on their own website, Guitars Garden. Then they also have another eBay store for Guitars Garden with new guitars. Or you can get ripped off and try to buy one on the used market. I don't recommend that. Just, you have to be patient. You know, they come in stock when they come in stock. You know, I think it's whenever they can fill up a shipping container and get it on a ship over here is when they have them in stock. And they go quick, usually. So, anyways, overall, very satisfied with this purchase, especially for the price. A little more tweaking on it, and it might become a pretty regular guitar around here now. So, anyways, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. I swear and promise I'm going to start doing videos more often again. The summer was kind of hectic, and hopefully things are calming down now. So, anyways, let's go.